Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, and I'm here in Cleveland National Forest, Palomar Mountain, right at the Fry Creek Campground. Now I'm just going to go poke around here for a little bit, because like in a lot of my hiking places, campgrounds seem to have a lot of cool stuff going on. So let's see. I know I filmed video over here back in 2020 when I was checking out the big cone Douglas fir scene, because there are some very large big cone Douglas firs here. So let's see what other cool things we can find today. So this is the Fry Creek Campground. Now that I'm not using the campground, I'm parked on the shoulder on the other side of the road. Oh, the large coulter pine that was growing here fell. Oh man, there was a huge coulter pine over here in 2020. It must have fell. That was a big coulter. That was a coulter pine too. It was not a Jeffrey or Ponderosa. That was a straight coulter pine. So what I'm gonna do a short walkabout here and explore. Maybe walk towards the back of the campground and see what other interesting things I can find. Now, one thing that was kind of interesting me about this area was there's supposed to be an outlying voucher on CalFlora for this plant called Western Spice Bush, Calacanthus occidentalis. It's supposed to be in this area. So I got to keep my eyes out and see if I can find that. Pretty sure it would still have leaves on it. It's a deciduous shrub going dormant in winter. So kind of have to keep my eyes out for it, but I'll keep my eyes out for it, but hopefully I can find it if it's here. The vouchers I think were decades old, so who knows if it's even still here, if it was extirpated or what happened. But it's a shrub with pretty large leaves. Yeah, I think even larger than these. If you look at my Heaps Peak Arboretum video, you'll get to see what the leaves on it look like. So here we are, the little Fry Creek drainage right here. And we got this plant here. This plant right here, Datisca glomerata. This is called Datisca glomerata. It's a plant that looks a lot like marijuana, but it's not related to it, A, and B, it's very toxic. So don't ingest any part of this plant. It's called Durango root. The common name is usually referred to as Durango root. It's a herbaceous perennial in its own family, Datiscaceae. So, a lot of cool stuff to see here in Fry Creek Campground. And right now we're about an elevation of 4,950 feet. And we're in a very extremely lush area here. And we got some very tall trees around here. And so we're in a dense forest over here. We got lots of really tall canyon live oaks, very tall canyon live oaks. And there's a big incense cedar in there somewhere too. I just caught sight of it. There's a pretty big incense cedar back there too. There's a lot of pretty big cone Douglas firs in this area too. So a lot of video more on this side towards this area is where I shot video when I was here before. But I never really shot video further up in the campground. I see some fall color in here. Yeah, these shrubs with the yellow leaves are western azaleas. That's Rhododendron occidentale. It's a plant I've yet to spotlight because I've yet to see it in bloom. I've seen it several times. I've seen it especially here in the Palomar mountain range, but I've also seen it in the San Jacinto Mountains too, in Riverside County. I never seem to catch it when it blooms. Guess I need to go more towards May or later May, probably. May or maybe early June to catch it. Yes, this plant here. And it's supposed to have a very beautiful, it's an azalea. It's like an azalea. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's supposed to have these beautiful white flowers. A little bit, probably about the size of some of your smaller azaleas. Not like your big, huge rose bay rhododendrons with the big flowers, but they're supposed to be fragrant too, from what I understand. Again, I've never been up to one in bloom before. I'm hoping to change that in 2024. And of course, we got creek dogwood. One of two species of dogwoods here in the Palomar mountain range. This is Cornus sericea subspecies occidentalis. These are coloring more of a yellow, but they have been known to change beautiful, brilliant red and pastel colors as well. Here's a slight sample of it right here. There's a lot of creek dogwood around here. And some of them have smaller leaves, like these ones seem to have smaller leaves. So this is creek dogwood. This used to be known as Cornus stolonifera. One of the other common names of this shrub is called red osier dogwood. Look at the twigs have a striking red color. So in the wintertime, they're still pretty colorful. Okay, so I was telling you that these do turn some pastel and deep reds. Here's an example right here. This is what they look like when they turn red. Sometimes nearly purplish in color. So it's another brilliant fall color shrub here in Southern California. Something to be definitely aware of. So, unlike in parts of Palomar Mountain State Park, this part of Cleveland National Forest seems to have more pines growing here, as opposed to white fir, incense cedar, and big-cone Douglas fir being the three conifers. We also got some coulter pines growing here too. These ones here, Pinus coulteri. I imagine ponderosa would be a potential find here. All right, so here's a humongous coulter pine actually. Some coulter pines here in Palomar Mountain get much larger than you normally see them elsewhere here in California. For some reason, coulter pines here, there's some huge coulter pines here that are the size of medium-sized ponderosa and Jeffrey pines. So be on the lookout for those. In fact, I can't even get it right there is a huge coulter pine. Let me see if I can get to it. I can find the trunk. I've got to look for a big massive trunk somewhere in here, but I see a medium-sized trunk. Oh no, this is a fairly decent coulter pine trunk. There's one on the way up here from coming from the south that has really white bark plates on it like a ponderosa pine, but definitely have the coulter cones in them. Passed by that tree several times before. This is a big coulter pine. This is a coulter pine, not a ponderosa. This tree's trunk is so big, and the tree trunk seems to be so old that, like ponderosa and Jeffrey pine, is breaking out into bark plates too. So sometimes coulter pine, when it gets old and large enough, it'll be like a ponderosa or a Jeffrey pine and break out into plates like this. So this is a coulter pine right here. This is a pretty big coulter pine. Most of the time you'll see their bark is deeply furrowed and ridged, but when they get big enough, their bark can plate out like a ponderosa and kind of have a yellowish, occasionally have a yellowish color. Most of the time it's going to be brown. But, wow, incredible. Yeah. That's very beautiful here. I know there was a set of trails I took coming up from this way one time back in 2014. I ended up going up a ways and finding a massive California black oak. The largest California black oak I've ever seen today. Probably excluding the ones in Yosemite Valley, which I've never been to yet. So if I ever find that trail again, I'm going to try to see if I can find it. It was an absolutely monster California black oak. Now what else do we have here? Here's some more creek dogwood changing to those pastel reddish colors. This is where it happens right here. Beautiful, beautiful fall color right here. Absolutely beautiful shrub. All right. So there are some massive big-cone Douglas firs here too. So I'm going to go up this way a ways more. But here's that coulter pine I was talking about. Right there. That's a coulter pine. That's not a ponderosa or Jeffrey pine. That is a full-blown coulter pine. And it's probably about 120 feet tall. It's pretty tall for a coulter pine. So there are some big coulter pines. And if you go up this way, through the back of the campground, and on this dirt service road, kind of, I think you turn left on it if I remember correctly. You turn left on it and you start going up that way, you'll see some other huge, really tall coulter pines. So for some reason this area seems to have massive coulter pines. And then if you keep going up and you find a small narrow trail that starts heading up the hill more, you actually come across a small grove of Jeffrey pines. It's the only place I've seen Jeffrey pine here in the Palomar range. There are actually some small younger Jeffrey pines up the way a ways. So I'm going to go ahead and head up this way and keep you posted. About to meet up with some big-cone Douglas firs. Here's a pretty big one here. Good old Pseudotsuga macrocarpa. Got some more big ones coming up though. Even bigger than that. We're going to see a really girthy one. All right, here's a massive big-cone Douglas fir right here. This one is a big tree. Very big, girthy. Look at the base of this big-cone Douglas fir. It's one of those double-headed ones. They do come across pretty often. Wow. The video of this does not do it justice. This is a huge tree. It's a massive trunk. The 2 leaders are enough to be large big-cone Douglas firs in their own, but this is a massive tree. This is one of the reasons why I love coming here so much. Big-cone Douglas firs that get much bigger than you normally expect. So in a lot of places they tend to be smaller, more moderate-sized trees, but Palomar, called the Palomar supersize effect. Something about this area. This one doesn't have an extremely huge height to it, but boy is it massive. Its trunk is humongous. Of course, white fir, normally you find this a little bit higher up in Southern California than here, but here at Palomar you see them below 4,500 feet sometimes. Okay, so it used to be a huge big-cone Douglas fir. So I'll give you some perspective. Looks like there was one that fell. So this is the log of the big-cone Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga macrocarpa. Looks like this one uprooted, but this is a massive trunk. These trees can get large. Now, you can't compare with Pacific Douglas firs, because big Pacific Douglas firs are much larger trees. So if you think that's big, go check out some Pacific Douglas firs. I've never been next to a Pacific Douglas fir that was huge before. Been next to a couple, less than I can count on one hand, and they weren't in their native habitat either. Here's a humongous canyon live oak in there. It's a 2-trunk specimen down there. That's a big tree. So this is one of the areas where we're going to find some of the big trees of Palomar. Here, Dome Valley in Palomar State Park. It's another place. Again, this is Cleveland National Forest. This is not the state park. This is the National Forest. Oh, and of course, hoary coffeeberry and fruit. Frangula californica, subspecies tomentella. Pretty decent sized incense cedar. See, incense cedars are getting bigger here now. That's a pretty big one. Pretty decent sized incense cedar. So I haven't seen anything that looks like Calycanthus occidentalis, western spice bush. I haven't seen anything that looks like that, so maybe it was a mis-ID, or maybe it doesn't live here anymore. Things happen, populations get extirpated. Maybe. Now, another huge big cone Douglas fir right over here. That's a big and tall tree right there. That's a pretty tall one. Very beautiful too. All right, let's see what I find a little further up. All right, so I'm here at the back of the campground now. Haven't been over this way in a few years. Actually, several years. So now, go up here. You can see a Forest Service road gate. An old dirt road. Nice little workout hiking through the campground. So now, a little bit more of a more sun exposed portion of the area. So the trees start getting a little smaller. I'm going to turn left here. I'm going to head up this way for a little bit. If I remember correctly, I'll be seeing some big coulter pines on this side. Yeah, how beautiful it is here. How luscious it is. All these trees. Amazing. So thickly forested parts of Palomar. All right, see what else I find. All right, just as I remembered, here's some pretty tall coulter pine action over here. And we got this pretty decent sized canyon live oak. Okay, now, that's what I'm talking about right here. This is a coulter pine. This is not a ponderosa. This is a humongous coulter pine right here too. Very big coulter pine. Very tall one too. Very, very large coulter pine. I say here at Palomar, they can get big. Now I'm starting to get bark plating on it too. Kind of leaving behind the furrows and getting more of the bark plates. Yeah, that was a coulter pine. I kid you not. That's a big pine right there. Especially Coulter pine status. Told you there'd be some big ones around here. Alright. Keep going up this way. See what else. Okay, so now I'm up here at the old Jeffrey Pine Grove. Yep. It's a nice sized California black oak right here too. Yeah, there's a trail here. If I remember correctly, I followed this trail for quite a ways and found some canyons with some large trees, and a lot of those, there were some big incense cedars and that monster California black oak I saw. So yeah, so now here I am with the Jeffrey pines. Yeah, so they do grow here at Palomar too, Jeffrey pines. Now I don't, depending on where you go, might not, they don't seem to be as numerous here as say at Mount Laguna, where the dominant conifer is Jeffrey pine by far. But yes, actually, some of these, yeah, these are definitely Jeffrey pine cones. These are not Coulters. So yeah, I reefed the Jeffrey pines, but there are Coulter pines mixed in here too. But yeah, we got Jeffrey pines in here. Pinus Jeffrey. Let's do the old sniff test. Yes, vanilla cookies. Very sweet smell. So yes, we do have Jeffrey pines here at Palomar Mountain. And we also have ponderosa pines in the lower portions, lower Dome Valley, in the French Valley area. We do have ponderosas here too at Palomar. Now, there's a trail that's going up this way. So then I'm going to follow it. I'm going to see if I can come across that huge black oak. That's looking over towards Booker Hill. That's a hike I did earlier today. So let's see if I can find that huge black oak. So I'm a little worried about making sure I have enough memory for this hike, but I think I have another memory card in my backpack. So I think I'm good. So I'm gonna go up this trail here. So I remember taking a trail from this area past these Jeffrey and Coulter pines. So let's see if I can find that humongous black oak. I don't remember how far it was down. I only saw it one time, and that was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, 2014. But there's a humongous California black oak. If I find it, I definitely gotta see if I can find it. That would really be great. So let's go follow this trail and see if this is the right way. There's also another path down there that seemed like it petered out. So I'm gonna follow this and see what I can find. And I'll get back to you. Maybe I'll be able to find that black oak. So I remember the trail I took was a narrow single track, and ended up going in this very lushly forested area, deep canyon. What's this say here? So the trail goes this way. Okay. All right, that's weird. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Keep you posted. Yeah, I'm not sure if this was the trail or if it was the one. Going straight, but it seemed like the signage seemed to imply that there was like a special project going on over there, which probably means keep out. So I'm not sure if this is, like I said, it was a long time ago. And it was not a planned hike either. See, right above the fire road where I came up from earlier. So we're right near Fry Creek. So this might be the Fry Creek Trail. I didn't see any name for it. I didn't see any signage for it other than the word trail. So this might just be the Fry Creek Trail. So there's a Fry Creek Trail in the area. So I'm getting to suspect that this is it. I don't think it's going to take me, getting the impression it's not going to take me over to the big oak tree. Big oak tree that I was trying to find. If I don't find it, I'd be kind of disappointed, but it's be kind of a neat little adventure regardless. But yeah, there's the fire road right there. Came up, I think I came up from just a little further down that way. I'm hoping this might lead over by the big oak tree. But I'm trying to see where the trail goes from here. It doesn't seem to go this way. It seems to lead back to the fire road here. This has got to be the Fry Creek Trail. This wasn't actually the trail I was trying to take. I was trying to take the trail to get up to the California black oak, big monster black oak. So this must be the Fry Creek Trail here. Interesting. Let's see. It's pretty neat out here too, though. Really pretty out here. So I guess this is the Fry Creek Trail. This will probably lead back into the campground, I imagine. Well, I'll go up this way just for a minute. Let's see what kind of stuff I can find up this fire road here. I know we're not that far from a random peak I hiked back in 2018. Not from this way though. I hiked it from Palomar Mountain State Park. But you hike up the Myers Fire Road from Dome Valley Campground area, and then you take a series of trails heading east, and then eventually they're more like dirt roads, and then you take a use trail, clipped use trail, that'll take you up to peak 5696. So I'm guessing probably might not be able to access that big oak tree. Should have been nice. I'll go this way for a little bit and see what I can find over here. Looks pretty interesting. All right. Now that we're out in more of a sunny exposure, and got a lot more pine action over here. A lot of coulter pines actually. So I think up there might be peak 5696. Not 100% sure. I think it might be up there somewhere. That's a nice big cone Douglas fir. Nice hefty stately tree right there. That's very beautiful over here too. There's not one, I don't think there's one single boring area here in Palomar. That's looking up towards the higher elevations here in the Palomar range. I think High Point should be up there somewhere. The observatory would be before that. Very beautiful here. Wow. Very incredible. There's a pretty decently sized black oak trunk. Wrapped around that boulder too. So I suspect that that trail was the Fry Creek Trail. Assuming that's what that was. I think probably a minute or two, I'll find a place to sit down and get some water. Kind of need to start hydrating. Very, very gorgeous here. Very beautiful country back here. All right, well, see you up the way. I'm coming up to a pretty ominous sign that I think might mean that I'm gonna have to turn around. Yep, private property up there and over there, so I'm not gonna go up any further. But right where that private property sign is nailed, beautiful big-cone Douglas fir right there. I'm guessing this is gonna have to be a turnaround. I was starting to make quite a bit of progress up this way. I was wondering if this was going to lead me a different way to Peak 5696. I was getting tempted to try climbing it, but probably not a good idea. There's private property over here. Been able to access it again from Doane Valley in the state park. You hike through the end of the state park and into the Cleveland National Forest, and it can take you there. Like I said, that was a different way, and I was able to make it without any private property issues. So I think this is going to be my turnaround point. So I'm assuming the private property is not just over there. It's probably all over the place. So I guess this will be my turnaround. I figured I'd try to make almost was going to make a peak attempt. See if I can climb up to 5696. I did shoot video for that one, but I never released it or uploaded it or edited it. That could be something in the future. But went back there and did that in December 2018. I was actually trying to hike to Palomar Divide Truck Trail and get to two peak bagger summits, Gordon Point and Morgan Hill. I was going to be following the dirt road, Myers Dirt Road, over towards Palomar Truck Trail, Palomar Divide Truck Trail, and then I was following that towards where the saddle of the two peaks would be. The road would be between them, and I ran into closed gates and everything over there. I thought it was supposed to be a public right-of-way. I thought, but then I ran across a couple of closed gates, and that's when I turned around. I was going to try to do Morgan Hill and Gordon Point, which are two 5,640 plus foot summits over there in the northwestern part of the Palomar Mountain ridge line. But then I ended up going back, and then I ended up seeing another ridge line off to the south, and was thinking to myself, that looks interesting. So I went to climb it, and I was thinking that might be Peak 5696. And it was. So there's a summit register up there that says Peak 5696. So I guess going this way is probably very ill-advised if you're going to try to do a peak attempt. Anyways, it would probably be a lot of rock scrambling and cross-country hiking which might inadvertently cross into the private property. And I'm not against cross-country hiking. You know, you've seen enough of my videos. You know I do it on a fairly often basis. But I don't want to do it and get caught in private property. So I guess what I'll be doing is I'll be heading back to the Fry Creek Trail, and I'm going to work my way back, or what I suspect is a Fry Creek Trail. It's pointed in the direction of where Fry Creek Campground would be. And we'll see how the rest of that turns out. Yeah, I was definitely considering making an attempt at climbing Peak 5696. I was going to try to find a different approach, but again, not as familiar with this part of Cleveland National Forest. So I don't know where all, I guess now I'm familiar with the fact that there's some private property over there, and I guess that wasn't meant to be. I guess I wasn't meant to find that big black oak tree. I was really hoping to find that today. That would have really been a really cool treat to show you guys, especially if you love those big oak trees that we have here in California. It would have been really nice. One of these California black oaks, and it was a magnificently big tree. Still, to this day, the biggest black oak I've ever seen. Though there is a huge one along the fire road leading towards leading me on the way to Peak 5696. It has a monster trunk on it. A lot of branches have been broken off of it, but it was still, that was a big black oak too. I would have loved to show you that, but the actual the big one, not the one along the fire road, but the one out in the middle of the canyon, would have been a real treat to see that again. This, oh God, it was so huge. It was a big black oak. It had multiple humongous trunks on it. And there's that beautiful big cone Douglas fir again. That's a nice handsome one too. Just the nicely tiered branches it has. All right, well, I'm gonna work my way to the trail. Here's another 202 of beautiful coulter pines. So I guess I will see you at the junction pretty soon, I imagine. I'm kind of at a neat little vantage point over here. You can see the ridge miles away. Palomar Mountain is one long ridge. As you can see, I think that's probably getting closer to near where High Point is. Get some pretty good views out there. I think Mendenhall Valley is just down that way, if I remember correctly. But as for Peak 5696, I keep talking about, I believe it's up there. There's a nice little craggy south face of it. Is really craggy and rugged looking. Lots of boulders and rocks draped in, looks like a lot of coulter pine over there. Big cone Douglas fir. So then we got more big cone Douglas fir up ahead here too. But yeah, when I climbed it, I went up north from the state park on the Myers Fire Road leading out of the Doan Valley area and the campground, Doan Valley Campground. And then I turned right on another fire road, and eventually that became much less distinct, and kept following it roughly eastbound, and eventually headed towards it. And so I came from the north and the west. This would have been coming from the south. Very different route. But I went up it, and then I found what looked like a use trail that was going along just underneath it, the ridge, and then I kept finding it petering out. So what I did is that time I broke trail and just hiked cross country up the slope. Had to bushwhack a lot. I had to bushwhack, and it was real steep and loose. There was a lot of bushwhacking. And then I found a use trail near the top and found the rest of the way to the peak. So that's where I came from earlier there. So this is where I'm going to head now to finish up this hike here. So yeah, back to what I was saying. What I thought was a use trail petered out, and I literally climbed or crawled up the north-facing slope of the ridge. Luckily, I didn't bushwhack through any poison oak. There wasn't any that I noticed over there, and that was a really tough slog, bushwhacking through canyon live oak thickets and large chaparral shrubs and small trees. And then eventually I found a use trail. It took me up to the top of the peak, and on the way back I was able to follow the use trail instead of having a break trail. I found the use trail and found where I lost it on the way back. So hindsight was 20/20 in that situation. So pretty funny. So yeah, here this Fry Creek Trail gets pretty indistinct at times, but I can kind of see it here. I can kind of see it. Should be leading down towards the campground. But yeah, I eventually found it. If you're looking for panoramic views, it's gonna be kind of hard because there's a lot of coulter pine up there. A lot of coulter pine and big-cone Douglas fir that you won't be able to see the views very much. So let's see. Here, this trail gets very indistinct, so gotta keep my eyes out and see where it goes. It's a pretty short trail itself. Might have actually lost it. That's a magnificent big-cone Douglas fir over here too. I notice my voice is starting to crack. I've been talking a lot. I recorded quite a bit of video today. All right, well, let's see if I can keep finding the trail. I think I might be off track. Yeah. I think I'm off trail. Oh well, I'll have to look around and see. Oh well. I think I might have found it. Yeah, I can see it now. So literally had to kind of crawl back up. I see the trail now. There's a small pink ribbon in that down branch right there. I can see it now. I can see the trail now. So let's see. Yeah, now I can see it ahead of me now. I found a tree with a ribbon tied around it, and that's where I started going down. Ah, it's very beautiful here too. Very beautiful. Actually, very gorgeous. Now let's see if I can keep to the trail. All right, well, we'll see. Let's see how this goes. Let's see where it goes from here. Okay, so I'm still managing to keep on the trail. This is very indistinct, and I've read about that before. I've read about this trail. Yeah, it is very indistinct. Got a massive big-cone Douglas fir in here too. There's a big one in there, right there. There's a big tree. It's a very tall one too. Wow, it's a pretty big-cone Douglas fir. This is a very beautiful trail, though, I'll tell you. You're in the shade of the forest. Like I was even getting warm and sweaty when I was climbing up the fire road earlier. At least I found where the Jeffrey pines are, but I think what I would have had to do was, instead of turning at that weird little trail sign, I would have probably had to have gone straight. Okay, now we're in a real thick patch of poison oak here. So I'm gonna have to kind of waddle around here a little bit, make sure I don't step on any of it. And it grows right out in the middle of the trail here. Ooh, yeah. Gotta watch where I step here. That's poison oak all over the trail. Ooh, boy. I'll get back to you. Let me concentrate. The little patch here is all overgrown with poison oak. Okay, now we're out some broadleaf California fuchsia. Epilobium condom subspecies latifolium. Still blooming here in November. Still blooming. Very beautiful. And then we got a species of horseweed here. Looks like could be American horseweed. Erigeron canadensis. This might be an exotic one too. No, I think this is the American one. All right, very pretty trail. Now it's becoming a lot easier to follow once we're on this side of the canyon. It's very lush down there. We're kind of in between the edge of the forest and the chaparral, actually. We're pretty close to where the chaparral starts picking up. Again, I will say this is a really lovely trail too. Again, I'm assuming this is the Fry Creek Trail. So we'll see. We'll see where this leads. All right, I'll catch you up the way. Got some nice forest over there on that side. Has a north-facing slope over there. All right, well, let's see. All right, still working out this trail. A lot easier to follow now. There's a small interior live oak. It's actually a single trunk one. So, Quercus whistleseni. The predominant variety here will definitely be variety frutescens. This one's almost like basically a single trunk, small tree. I'm still guessing this is probably variety frutescens. There's a shrubby one here. It's got a single trunk tree in there, but it also has some sprouts from the roots. So, yeah, this is a pretty trail. It's definitely a recommended trail if you pay attention where you're going. Very large big-cone Douglas firs here too. Very beautiful over here. This trail just keeps on going down the canyon. Again, I'm guessing this is Fry Creek Trail. I haven't seen any signs pointing out the name of the trail, but I know it's in the area. This has got to be it. Ooh, we got a black oak with some red on it and orange coming up. Right over here, we got some orange on this California black oak. And occasionally they do that. More orange color there, because some of the brown and gold mixed with red, so it gives you kind of an orange hue. Very beautiful. Love seeing when they get different colors on them. Yeah, this oak is a different fall color on it. Very beautiful. Oh, yeah, there's some hints of scarlet in it. Wow, nice. Very beautiful. Every now and then, California black oak does that. I think you're more likely to see that in the Sierras, actually. To be honest. All right, well, still following this trail. See where it's going to lead out. Wow, there's a really tall big-cone Douglas fir over here. Really tall one. It looks like it's got some girth to it as well. I can see some picnic tables down there. So it must be pretty close to the campground area. I see some picnic tables. Let's see. So looks like I'm pretty close to the campground. Yeah, I can see the paved road down there. So that's the Fry Creek Campground over there. Yeah, there's some magnificently tall trees in this canyon. How awesome is that? That's incredible. That's a big cone Douglas fir. I've been saying that a lot today. Between this hiking video and another hiking video I did in the state park. So that's been a theme for today. Big cone Douglas firs. I do not mince my words. They are some very large big cone Douglas firs growing in this canyon. For a south-facing slope, this is pretty lush. This is a south-facing slope over here. But even for a south-facing slope, this is very lush. Very lush. This is a more sun-exposed side here. That's why the trees aren't quite as tall and thick and girthy, but they're still pretty well shaded over here. This must be a little drainage canyon right here. A little gully that leads down there. Wow. This is a really cool trail. Glad I found it. Glad I found it. Really glad. Wow. Of course, this is the best time of year. Autumn is the best time of year. Autumn and winter are the only two seasons I've ever been here to Palomar. Okay, so I'm coming up on... Oh, yeah, I'm almost over by S6 right now, Canfield Road, which is San Diego County S6. So I'm almost actually back in my car. So I'm not even gonna have to go through the campground. Oh, this part's kind of sketchy. Oh, this part's really steep. I have to watch my footing going down this. Wow. Maybe I can work my way around this way instead. Yeah, here we go. Looks like it does a little switchback around over here. Yeah, that's really steep over there. Do not want to slip down that. It's not going to be fun. So, yeah, Fry Creek Trail. So I took a fire road and at least I think the lion's share of the Fry Creek Trail. I don't know if I took the whole thing, but I think I took the lion's share of it. Yeah, really nice trail. All right, I'll see you when I'm back down at the road. All right, so just went down that little steep little slope to join the road where I saw my finger pointing in the last clip. Well, very recommended hike. Just watch out for some poison oak in some areas. It does get a little intrusive. You might have to hop, skip, and jump over some of it, but this is it. Beautiful Fry Creek area. Fry Creek Trail, Fry Creek Campground area. This is another area I like to visit time after time. Here's San Diego County S6. In other words, Canfield Road. And this is going to do it for my adventure over here. Thanks for watching. And see you on the next adventure.